Yeah, that's right, I'm early. It's going to be 5 minutes of nothing. Oh, that's a big delay. So. We'll get some timing sorted out tonight. That'd be good. Maybe I'm making extra work in order to fill the time provided. Okay. We're back on. 3, 2, 1. Guess the milliseconds. That's close enough. I'm not going to fiddle with it. Well, welcome those of you who are turning up already. I'm going to be repeating myself a bit because people just turn up when they feel like it. None of you have any discipline. So I'm going to be saying the same things again and again. Turning the sound off on here, finding out I've got a whole load of green on my fingers. I don't know where it came from. We don't want that. I will have the Facebook page on so I can look at your comments and respond to them, or ignore them, depending on how I feel. This here is part of Portraits for NHS Heroes, which is a hashtag on Twitter started by, I forgot his name, great painter, a super portrait painter who thought, I know, I'll offer a free portrait to someone who's out there, you know, doing the hard work, and it kind of caught on. He asked some portrait painters he liked if they'd join in, and they asked some portrait painters they liked if they'd join in. So it ended up at my doorstep. Eventually figured out how to put the little page up saying I'm available with the hashtag, and within 10 minutes I had 3, so I couldn't really say no to anyone. So so now I've got 3 to do. So I've done one. I'll show you the one I've done. It's over here. This is a nice lady in a mask. And yeah, it's all about the eyes. It's so interesting doing a portrait of someone who's got most of their face covered up. Anyway, I sent a little picture of this one too, because someone contacted me and said, would you do my friend? She works in the hospital and dealing with everything that's happening right now, and she wanted to give it to her as a surprise. So I sent her, not the subject, but the person who asked for it, a picture, just a quick snap of this. And then she shared it with their friend, and then their friend put that on Facebook, and I thought, oh, at least let me take a proper photo. So I'm not going to make that mistake again. Nothing's going out until it's properly photographed, because people will just put their NAF version up, which is entirely my own fault. But anyway, she seemed very happy with it. But the eyes were very interesting. I haven't got great light. I've got this one, it makes everything flickery, so apologies if this is making everything flickery. But so that's the one that's already done. I was quite pleased with that. There's some nice texture in the paint, but there's also a kind of an expression in the eyes that I was pleased to have caught. And that was the first effort. That's still drying, and it'll be on its way. This one is this lady's a GP. Trashing everything before I go. And I've got two photos of her. I've got this one, and I've got, you can see, what's the other one? Yeah, and this one, which I will show you very quickly. I think I have that prepared. So now you can actually, because I'm working from a photo, which is very unlike me, this one as well, so I've got a better view of her face, better lighting. I like the lighting in this first one because it's you know, it's one-sided, so I can use that to a certain extent. But the details in the other image, the details in this image are much better, and a lot of the, you know, clearly that's her smile. It's the same in both of them. A lot more colour in her eyes here, and still got a stethoscope on. So I'll be referring to that other photo, but I like this one. I liked it because it's sort of in the surgical gown. So it's very clear straight away what sort of job is being done. That sort of immediate hands-on care thing. And also because, I mean, clearly it's a selfie. I imagine she's holding an iPad. That's guessing from the distance apart her arms are. But it feels like she's holding you steady, like she's yeah, she's the one keeping things under control, which I rather liked. I thought there was a bit of a story there. There's a feeling that you can make something of. There, you feel like you're being held steady by someone who knows what they're doing. So yeah, great face to paint. Working from photos, it was interesting doing that last one because I always avoid working from photos just because habitually because I worked commercially for so many years and I just churned out so many things from photos, and they were never quite as good. They were always missing that little bit of magic that you want to get from a evening Viv. You have to put something else into a painting done from a photo. You can't just work with the source material. And in a way, it's sort of working from life, from a drawing point of view, it's harder. But in terms of giving it something, giving it meaning, it's like the dynamic does it all for you. So that's a kind of laziness in itself going on there. Now at the moment, let's see if I can dislodge this and then put it back again afterwards. If we get close up here, you can see I started working straight from a white canvas, which I don't normally do. I've been getting the basic shapes in, but there's still lots of bits of white canvas showing through, and all of this stuff is just really rough drawing. It's just inky paint straight onto the canvas. Same up here. There's no actual substance to the paint on those bits yet. So I haven't got as far as the lights yet. I've still got the colours on my palette from, it's changed its mind. They do look a bit warmer than that, I promise. So I've still got those colours on the palette. They won't really be usable anymore, but they will give me a starting point for mixing new ones. So here was me starting early tonight. It's not like me at all, I know. Don't worry, nothing's very badly wrong. Good evening, Mark. And thanks for joining me. So yes, so I'm going to work through this, and I'm going to talk about that rather difficult and mysterious art of putting more into a picture, working from a photograph and putting more into it than is actually there. So partly this is almost like what it's like to paint from your imagination, but I'm painting also from information that I've gathered over the years of doing portraits, and I suppose sort of what would you call it? Not techniques so much as you learn what you consider important in a portrait, what particular strokes, colours, ways of building the image work well, and trying to employ those. So smile as well is not an easy thing. I've got these shapes here for the corners of the mouth, and they kind of do the whole job. There's also changes in warmth, and there's a familiarity with where they go. I just started to get this bit up here, which is much cooler colours. There may be some more of that to go. Also, just getting the places where the pupils of the eyes are going to go when you're making marks. And you can find out fairly quickly. This paint is still slightly tacky. So I think it's yesterday or the day before. Yeah, yesterday I think. I can't remember anymore. So I will be sort of spreading out my palette into some blues and purples and some yellows and greens as well, which is starting to happen in little bits. So if I carry on with this face a bit, yeah, I think that would be the best bet. There's still some fine tuning with the drawing, and that will come later on. So things like the edges of the face, still haven't made my mind up about those. But I've got this context here. These colours can look quite light on this surface, on this palette here, and then they go onto this completely white canvas, and they're really quite dark. But I think that's okay. So I'm seeing some new colours, some new lights and darks. So I think I need to go into, let's see, oh, that's still okay. So I'm going to be doing this with individual brush mixes and trying to put on efficient, simple marks that do their job. So this is sort of a grey colour. Where can that go? Could go in here. It's going to be too light in there. What about under here? Oh, under there. I think it'll work under there. Let's just put in a slab of paint there, and that'll be yellow on that side. Where else matches that? If I have a look around here on the neck, yeah, that's quite nice. I like the way it's breaking up a bit as well. Sort of slightly thick clayey paint. There's a darker version in there, but I'll put a bit of light in just as a placeholder. Where else does this go? So I'm looking here, I can see a bit, maybe over this side here. I think that should be a bit yellower. Yeah, so let's try that. So I've got the tone there on the palette, got a bit more yellow to one side, put a bit of light in it, see if that matches tonally. I think it's slightly lighter. What about over here? Is there a bit in there? Oh yeah, I had a yellow a bit over here. So I'm just tiling in these simple little areas of paint, and hopefully sort of fine-tuning the drawing and building the image as I go. So as that continues, yeah, I'm seeing some relative shapes. I don't want to disregard the arms here either, so there will be some yellow around that edge. Yeah, let's scrub that in because I will be working over the top of this. Also, because this paint is yesterday's paint, I'm also going to need to loosen it up a little bit, so I'll be getting a bit of oil going on. that's okay. Oh, and I want these brush marks to kind of fade out. Okay, I've got this shadowy red colour here. There's a browner yellow over there, so let's take a bit of that. See how much darker that goes. Oh yeah. Sort of a bang under the eye. And yeah, so I'm looking for everywhere this colour can go. It'll go in there as well. Where it's hitting the raw canvas is not quite coming off, so, but I'll be using a bigger brush for that. I don't want to get caught up in that too much. The thing I'm really dying to get onto is these lighter colours. These pinker colours. So I'm going to go back to this, and I've got this nice bright pink on here. Let's see how that goes. Is that the right amount of pink? I think it can be even pinker. Put some Nutthall red on the palette. I'm rather taken to that recently. What about here? Yes. Ah, so that really strong pink. That helps a great deal. I can work some lights into it afterwards. And it gets slightly peachy around the other side. Yeah, that was a slightly peachy, a bit lighter. So I'm just tiny little mixes as it goes. It goes along. Is that going to do it? Where else can I see it? Now it's there. No, maybe a bit in here. Yes. That's dark enough. That's definitely yellower up there. Don't want to get carried away with that. What about down here and the neck? That's more orange. This will do for the light. Oh, actually, yeah, no, I think this will do. So you can see some simple little tiles of paint that can gradually build this. It goes ever so slightly darker. So I'm using sort of a pre-mixed darker colour just in these areas here. Yeah, keep it simple. Where else does that belong? Is that the colour in here? Yeah, that's pretty good. So those creases in the face aren't being painted as lines. That's where I needed more of that pink. I'm seeing it now. They're being painted as shapes, and where they bump into one another, the lines are created. Same there. Yeah, and under there actually. This whole section. Yeah, all of that. Get a little bit of oil going on the surface here. Go back to that green yellow colour. Really try and touch that up here. Where else? Actually, a little bit in there. It's that corner of the mouth, there's this little splash of light. Where else? Maybe a little dab under there. Simple shapes, don't overdo it. Where else? In here. Is that too much? It might be. Yep, that was too much. I still haven't decided whether an iPad makes it easier or harder. I was used to do this, and the only way to do it really was to have a printed out image. Okay, now, yeah, so I'm refining some shapes now. It's a straight line. We've also got that pink over here. It's one simple slab of paint. Okay, and then it gets darker just by a little bit, just in here. And that tells us something about the way her face creases. Tells us the cheeks are going higher. No, shouldn't have done that. Let's go back to that dark, really dark again. Now the eyes, I'll refer to the other image when it comes to doing the eyes better, because I've got this shadow there, but the inside of the eye is that reddish colour. Same with here. I can get even darker actually. Oh, I mixed pretty much a black over here. Quite dreamy. It's going to go all the way up to that edge. And it needs to be redder. Okay, so I'm going back into some darks before I go into the lights. Because these are the colours. Yeah, you see that there. Ah, extra bit on the brush. Don't want that. Nobody invited you. Thank you. Okay, that's crimson. I've got some burnt umber here as well, just to be extra double cheeky. Let's see if that does it. Yeah, that's more like it. It'll also give me that corner of the eye there. And here. Yeah, it's refining those shapes down a little bit. Put a bit in there, and I shouldn't have done that. But there is a bit here. Now I'm going to have to work over that with a softer, redder colour. Let's see how this does. That's a bit more forgiving. That crease in the top lip, just there. There's some marks in the way here that are going to be teeth. I'm thinking ahead to that stuff. So it's not distracting me, which it might be if you're viewing, thinking that top lip isn't right. Why doesn't he sort that out? A bit redder over here. Definitely redder in that shape. When we get into here, there's more greens and blues, and I'm going to exaggerate those. Just like there's a bit more red in that shadow shape there. Hey. Oh, I see. Oh, if you miss the first 10 minutes, then you'll never know. It's privileged information. You've denied it forever. No, not really. I did warn everybody who was here at the beginning. If you were here not paying attention at the beginning, here's your opportunity to ignore me again while I repeat myself. Oh, I've forgotten his name, so that doesn't help, does it? Great portrait painter. He was on, I can see him in my mind, and I know his work. Oh, well, names aren't important. Anyway, he decided he'd start this little initiative, what's the word? Suggested this idea of doing he hashtagged it Portraits for NHS Heroes. There's a lot of people out there doing tough jobs, and now more than ever it's very obvious the difference between them and wasters like me. So what am I to do but try and offer something of what I do to I don't know, brighten someone's day a little bit, or at least give them something to put on the fire when they've run out of logs. So the idea is to offer a portrait for free to people who work for the NHS and are out there doing the tough jobs, as a way of saying thanks. Which I much prefer to standing on the doorstep clapping. It's not really my style, that whole thing. I think it's a lovely thing to do, but yeah, I just can't imagine it being remotely convincing, me doing it. People would be going, yeah, but what does he mean really? Okay, I'm seeing some stuff now. I'm going to use some of this cobalt blue. Yeah, so anyway, I decided I'd join in. So I offered my services and didn't really hear anything, and it turns out you have to put the hashtag up along with a little picture. Is this going to do it? You know what I think it is? I think that's going to stretch across to there. Cheeky. Yeah, you put your little green canvas up saying, okay, I'm joining in. So I got quite a few requests quite quickly, which was, which was nice. And this is one of those. I'm doing 3 in total before I take on any more. This is nowhere near light enough. A really light version of that purpley colour, and Let's see if we can break this up a little bit. That's too much. It's probably gone the other way now. Where was I? Oh yeah, under here. So underneath the nose. So that shape, that reflected light under the nose, that's something I've learnt to look for. And so in that sense, a photograph staying still is quite helpful when you're trying to find things like that. Yeah. That extra bit of light that goes in here. What about in there? Yeah, it's definitely an extra bit of light. It's starting to give us the edge of a jaw. I'm not going to do a line for that jaw. I will resist that. Yeah, get some of that purpley colour in. Now what's I doing? Oh yeah, go back to the darker one. Darker one will work for in here. Yeah, that's good. And also for along there. Yeah, it's making that come alive a little bit more. Still not happy with the underneath the nose. I'm not going to give myself a hard time about it just yet. Where else can this go? See, I keep forgetting about the arms, but as long as I'm working with the same colours, it should be okay. It should behave itself. There's a bit of reflection under there. That's quite good. Yeah, quite like that. Let's have a bit in here as well. Okay, so she's starting to turn up now. Very tricky things are things like teeth and eyes, because you know, even looking at this canvas here, you think, oh well, the eyes are white, and they're absolutely nowhere close to this white. If I give you a little example, if I take this brush and just put some pure white on it, okay. Now, if I put a bit on the raw canvas, you can't see it at all. But if I put it against that eye there, you can see just how grey it is. I'm going to move the camera in for you. It's vastly different. So that eye is a very grey colour. So then it's the same with the teeth, and they're actually pinker. I've got that white on the brush. I'm going to get a very pale pink and see. No, I'm going to put a darker colour in first. Need more brushes. What have I done with them all? Here's one. And it's still going to be a pink colour, and it's still going to be quite light. I'm just looking for a shape. I'm not thinking of teeth. Just thinking of a shape. Well, looking at a shape, in fact. So here, that's under shadow. Okay, now if I go in with a lighter brush here. And I can go in lighter than this later on, as and when it feels like it, but that, there's a little extra bit of light there, a little extra bit up here. Okay, hopefully I won't have to do much more than that. If I go back to this deeper red colour, a bit more on that thought, a bit more crimson even. How heavy can I go in with that colour? And just drop that in there. There we go. Oh. No, not high enough. Okay, there's a lot more stretch to that corner of the mouth. Oh, that was a mess. There's this round brush again. Again, I've got this black I mix, but I'm not going to do it black. Third go lucky. There you go. Every now and again, people say things like, "You must have a steady hand." Just no, not at all. Not remotely. That's not what makes a painting work. It's not about having a steady hand. It's about seeing areas and shapes. Okay, now I'm back to that yellow colour again. A slightly darker version of it. If I can just pull that in there, now I can start to see it. And I can start to see that smile as well, which is the most important thing. So I imagine that's very, very familiar to her friends. Dips in up there. Then there's a shadow, then there's a light bit. So I'm going to go in with the shadow bit now. It's kind of in here. And straighter, so that extra shadow there, that comes across. So like I said, I'll be changing the drawing as I went. That needs to come back in here, and it needs to be redder. So when it comes to creases in the face and deeper shadows like around the eyes, it generally needs to be a warmer colour. Okay, I'm going to do that. Yes. What about here? Let's do the same thing there. I was talking about lines earlier. I'm not going to be doing an awful lot of lines. Okay, I've got one of these bad habits where I just keep using the same brush and washing it. And actually it's better to have more than one brush on the go. When I'm working well, that's what you'll see me doing. When I'm getting lazy, or when it feels like every stroke is the one that's going to do it and it's the last one. There we go. And a bit of light inside there. And just go back to that little yellowy highlight here. Single slab of paint. I'm still not happy with that. If I break off that corner, or if I just flick that around. See, this is where I'm getting lazy. Okay, oh, that's better. Still not going quite in the right direction. Maybe in there. Okay, it's definitely time for some lights. Okay. No, let's do a few midtones first. If I get the other midtones first, then that should do it. I should have enough information here on the palette that I can mix a bit more. So, oh yeah, I started early. I'm half an hour in. I'm just going to give you a close-up of that mouth again. See, no, you know, sorts of marks for individual teeth, but barely. Now, once I've got the colours in for the lights, then I'll refer to the other image and try and pull out a few extra details. Although I honestly don't need much more detail. A few extra bits and pieces to sort of, you know, really capture that person, I hope. Yeah, I feel like she's there. I feel like I can see her. I haven't done any squaring up or anything with this, so there's still going to be a bit of shifting around as it sort of tries to decide where, you know, where there's a push and pull between different parts of the image to get them to balance. But I think finding that in a rather more organic way, personally I find it tells me more about the sort of the, I don't know what the word is for it, you know, the authenticity of the image. Right, I've overworked this bit, and that's too much now. I'm seeing one last thing I need to do. Oh, get some of that yellow. Work into that bit there. If I can get this simple mark into that. Yes, and in there. Where else? In there. We've done something slightly lighter there. Yes, that'll do it. There's a good sense of reflected light there. Actually, this is what I need for underneath the nose as well. No, that blue's okay. It needs a red to bump into it from that side. This needs to go here. Where else does this go? No. That's the light bit on the outside. Oh yeah, that's so obvious now. Deeply unflattering, isn't it? Still, that'll all get fixed later on. The jaw's going to come in a bit there. It's a quite soft line of the jaw there. Yeah, I feel like she's turning up. That blue is too harsh. I thought I'd get away with that. There you are. That's softened down a bit now. There you are. Well, I'll leave you to contemplate this for a few moments. Ah, Sue. Yeah, no, I totally get that, Sue. I think it's the thought of doing the job these people are doing. It's like imagining people being in the army or something, isn't it? To just sort of, they keep calling it a front line, and that's exactly what it is. It's people putting themselves in the way of this potentially destructive force. So yeah, whatever we can do to show our thanks is a good thing. It's something I can do, so it's easy for me. I'm still in my house painting, so I can't really pretend I'm doing a lovely thing. But I hope it brings some pleasure or joy, or at least amusement to someone. They can sit around and have a good laugh at what some painter tried to do with a picture. Then yeah, it'd be nice to give something back. But also, I mean, on the flip side of this, if you missed the beginning, this is what I'd already done with someone else, and I'll leave that up. That was the first one I did. And just the fact that it's a portrait, but this person's hidden behind a mask. I think these portraits will be artifacts in years to come. They'll be reminders of a time that will probably seem a bit surreal or hard to communicate in oh, there you are. Yeah, hard to communicate to future generations. So so if it's a thing someone finds one day and goes, what's this? Why is there a painting of someone in a mask? And they'll go, oh yeah, that was from whatever, remember that? Your mum or grandma or great grandma or whatever, she was there right at the front. And yeah, if I think making objects, that's what we can do by making objects, whether it's if you whittle something or if you knit something or if you paint something, you get to imbue it with some meaning, and it gets to become a sort of an artifact of a time and a place that something produced by a machine just can't be, you know. And yes, anyway, I'm gonna make a cup of tea. Yes, tea. And then I'll do the whole spiel about the drawing course. Right. Also, I thought, since you're all here, I'd try you with the spiel for my drawing class, the Wednesday afternoon drawing class. It launches this Wednesday, and the stuff I wrote for it is here. So tell me if this sells it to you. I haven't been silly or deliberately awful. So I'm calling it the Unlock Your Inner Artist drawing course. And the purpose of the 12-week course is to put you in touch with the part of you that can already draw. We'll progress through a series of exercises to build practical skills that will solve most of the problems we encounter when trying to draw a picture. I'll also be looking into the psychology and habits that hold us back from unlocking our creative talent and artistic potential, and exploring the ways in which we can see with some, this is the ways in which we see with some interactive experiments. What idiot wrote this? Uses a comma in there. Yes. Each week I'll introduce a new concept accompanied with an exercise that you can practice in your own time, as well as following in the online class. I'll do a demonstration to show you what the exercise entails and guide you towards understanding the value it can bring to your own art practice. The weekly online Zoom class is on Wednesdays from 1:30 till 3:30 UK time, that's PM. Join me in the studio where we can chat face to face, share what we've been doing, and I can give you useful feedback on how effectively you're following the exercises and lessons. You might be a complete beginner or an experienced artist who wants to brush up on your skills. The course aims to reveal your innate artistic ability and delve into the fascinating discussion of what it is to see like an artist. Access to the Zoom classes and the weekly videos and worksheets is only £25 a month. Only £25 a month. Only £25 a month. Numbers are limited to 20, and you can cancel at any time, but you won't want to. You might want to lobotomise yourself at times, but you won't want to cancel. It's a roller coaster of entertainment with only minor headaches expected. So yeah, get your pencils, get your paper, get your ibuprofen and ibuprofen. Yeah, it's a good job on my medicines, isn't it? And yeah, come along to the drawing course. So if you know anyone who'd be interested in that, or if you think you have a useful feedback on why that will never sell and how I could have done it better, I'd be delighted to hear it. I'm going to make a cup of tea. Kettle will be boiled now, and I'm going to come back and finish this portrait. back again. Ideally, I'd have an assistant, but well, I suppose I do have an assistant, but at the moment he's upstairs stuffing his face, and he can't make tea either. He's got peculiar eating habits. He licks the jelly off the chunks and then thinks there isn't any food left. Yeah. But he's very clean. Now you all know my password. Good. Okay, so you can see I've been building this image by tiling these areas of paint on top of each other, one another, each other, whatever the word is. So I'm going to mix some of these colours up again. It needs to be redder. You can see how much lighter that is than what I was using before. Put a little bit of this dark in. Got a bit of grey there as well. So that's quite a neutral colour. It's still a little bit light. A little bit of raw umber in there. That did almost nothing. Different colours will have different sort of tinting strengths. Seems to be quite careful. Sometimes you put the tiniest amount of a colour in and it just changes everything. Earth colours like burnt umber, raw umber, yellow ochre don't tend to be as strong. So what I quite like to do is to use a sort of a weaker mix. So I like to use alizarin crimson, which is this very dense red, and it's great for skin tones. I've been using permanent alizarin because the normal alizarin crimson is fugitive, yeah, it's which is a no-no apparently. I mean, I'm not normally affected by these things too much, and I think there's a lot of art hipsters. Just like in the music world, you get people who don't bother learning to play but just talk about gear and all the gear, no idea. And you get the same thing in the art world. You get these people. Michael Harding is now selling a lapis lazuli ultramarine blue. That's the ultramarine blue there, if you can see, if you can quite see that on the palette. They used to make it from lapis lazuli, which is a mineral found in Afghanistan. The reason it's called ultramarine is because it came across the sea, and that's what ultramarine means. Across the sea. That's too light. Yeah, I quite like that like that. I'm going to do some little touches with this before I find the neighbouring colour for it. I'm not going to go into too much detail around the eyes, but that lower lid is flatter. There's a nice bit of light just in there. Yeah, and it's, it's quite well known. It used to be just about the most expensive colour on an artist's palette, and so that's the reason that sort of that colour was reserved for, especially in altarpieces and that kind of thing, that the Virgin Mary would get to be in blue, and everyone else would have to be in like the browny earthy colours and lump it. because they weren't special enough. In the 19th century, someone devised a way of, oh yeah, that works, of making the exact same chemical compound that turns up in lapis lazuli that gives it its blue colour. And they could manufacture ultramarine blue, and it's absolutely, completely identical. In fact, to get lapis lazuli of that purity, you'd be having to spend a small fortune on top of the small fortune you were paying in the first place. So now you can have the exact same identical pigment. Really, it's quite cheap, which is great because it's a really useful blue. It's a great mixing blue. You can use it for a lot of different purposes. You can mix, good sort of earthy mid greens with it, as well as it being really great for mixing sort of quite soft black colours. Okay, this is a drawing issue here, that needs to be higher up. Okay, what about across here? Oh yeah, so that yellowness works quite well here. And then it's going to get redder. So I'm going to go across to the redder one. I'm going to change the brush. How's that working? Yeah, it's just going to work pretty well. Yes, so because of hipsters, Michael Harding is now, I mean, imagine he's laughing about it as well. And maybe I'm wrong about this, maybe somebody will inform me that it's somehow superior as a paint. But yeah, he's selling lapis lazuli ultramarine blue. So he'll have been getting lapis lazuli, the mineral, and he'll have been grinding it up and making one of his super quality paints with it. So he really does make wonderful paint. And selling it for about £250 for a tube, 225. So one of those of the lapis lazuli ultramarine. I don't know who's buying it, but I bet their paintings are rubbish. I'm completely convinced of that. How much lighter is that? Not much. Okay, so I'm still in the mid-tones here. This is good. I'm going to tie up a few shapes here. That pink can come across. It gets a bit darker, then it gets a bit lighter. I think that'll do it. Actually, that's greener under there. Yeah, I'm going to make a redder version of this now. Where can that go? We can have a bit there. Definitely have a bit in there. Okay, I'm going to overdo this if I'm not careful. Have a little bit in the lip. On there, use the brush, shouldn't be doing that. What about that there? No, darker one. Let's go next door. This is slightly darker. Okay. A bit of that in there. Yeah, why not? Yeah, soften that down. Yeah, soften that down. shadow on the edge of the face there. That will get tightened up when I get round with the other colours. Bit of an eyebrow. It's got this little interesting eyebrow shape. It's blue at that side. That's red under there. Oh yeah, there's this bit here. Okay, now I've got that red, I can also go into the arms a bit. There's a bit more orange there. Maybe put a bit of red outside. Okay. Slightly lighter yellow version. These really subtle little changes from one part of the image to another. Yes, that's good. That's too much. What about here? No, I could overdo it now. I could fiddle too much if I'm not careful. Exaggerate that crease there a bit. Maybe even that one there. Just to give a sense of that mouth turning up. Now I'm seeing other bits and pieces. So along here, we've got that crease of the mouth. That's going to go further up. Like there. Okay. Now I've got some of this red colour. I'm going to make a much lighter version of that. This is also going to get a little bit cleaner, I think. The tiniest bit of yellow. Put that over to one side, just to be safe. It's a nice luminous yellow colour. Still quite dark there, that's alright. Might get away with a strong colour in there somewhere. Okay, where was it? Yes. Anyway, yeah, so it's the I was talking about paint, wasn't I? How long ago was that? Tom Croft, that's exactly it. Thank you very much, Mark. Oh, I'm hopeless. Yeah, great painter, big tall chap. Yeah, really lovely sort of sense of movement in his portraits. He's one of those people that can work from photos and bring them to life, put that extra element in there. He's very good at it. Pinks. Shall I do yellows first and then pinks? Yeah, let's do that. I've got a bit of this bright yellowy colour here. I've got a bit of that yellow colour there, which is softer. I'm going to put a bit of extra white in it. There you are. And tonally you can see that it sort of matches that. How much more of that yellow? I'll do. Yeah, so the Michael Harding Lapis Lazuli Ultramarine Blue is 10 times the price of the normal ultramarine blue. And well, I'm never going to actually use it, so I don't know if it, who knows, it might be loads better, but I doubt it somehow. I doubt it. I doubt that Michael Harding's been labouring away, making ultramarine paint, going, oh, if only I had actual ground up minerals. It will have been requested of him by hipsters. People have persuaded themselves that there is some kind of a difference. And perhaps there is, but it would be so minuscule. I mean, you'd have to have money to burn to even consider doing that. Anyhow, I'm not going to get annoyed about it. Oh, you know what? There. Oh, that was shoddy. Yeah. Yes. Oh yeah, that was it. I was talking about up here. Nice. Big single stroke. While that's mixing on the surface, I've got a bit of paint on now, so I can mix on the surface to a certain extent. So I'm going to bring that in here a little bit. Into there a little bit. No, that's too much. Where else? Into here a little bit. No. It's just moving that edge in and doing the same thing up here. When that white turns up, it's really going to change things. Okay, now I'm going across to the pink. There's no avoiding it anymore. This mark is going to be important. There he is. That is the one. There's this little flick on the corner. Okay. Actually could have been lighter, I think. This is okay. I can go in with the bright white later on. But first of all, there is a real change. Trying to keep these strokes simple. I do tend to fiddle a bit much. So that's something I'm trying to be wary of. All of the pinks, loads of pinks in here. So I'm putting these simple areas of light in. That is going to go in there, like that. With that yellowy colour, it brings out that smile there as well. And here. Light from the neck. The neck isn't quite looking right. Where else? was clumsy. Just got rid of a perfectly good mark, but the paint will still be underneath. Okay, that's good. There's a little bit over here. Right, that's not quite right, is it? I need something. Need a softer colour just to sort of bring in that shape of the jaw there and here. And maybe there too. Okay, she's starting to turn up now. So I will do a few little bits and pieces. I've got some of these other colours coming in which I'm rather enjoying. Go back into some of that deeper red colour. Put a bit of that in there. There's a few little bare sections. What do I have? Oh yeah, I had this pale violety colour. So I can just put a little bit of that. Actually, I'm going to go for a slightly bluish light for the really, really bright highlights. Let's see how that works. So here, definitely on there. Now I need a yellower light over here. That would be some. Don't like that lumpy edge. Okay. Yeah, you can tell I'm concentrating now. Okay, and a yellow version. I'm going to put over here. Already got that yellow. It's a lovely yellow, that. This is really going to seem luminous by comparison. It's going to sit right up and it's going to account for the very brightest parts of the image. Certainly up on there. Yeah, I think that's a person there. No, it's only 10 times the price, Sue. It's £25 for a tube of this stuff. I think it's slightly more RRP, but yeah. But 10 times the price is enough. It's about 20 times the price of the cheaper ultramarine, which is also exactly the same pigment. I love the way this conversation, although mostly just happening in my head, I grant you, is going on over quite a period of time. Yeah, let's soften that down. Let's be kinder to our neck. Okay, there's one last bit that really needs it, and that's that edge there. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that actually, which is alarming. That never happens. Let's go back to that dark just for a moment. Let's just take the edge off that. Okay. And then, no, I'm doing the thing with the brush again, aren't I? I wash it in between every stroke. It's usually a sign you're getting near the end of a painting, I find. If I find myself doing it earlier than that, it's a bad sign. So I have this colour. No, it's pretty much the tooth colour. I'm going to get a little bit of this yellow. Just mix it in. Tiniest dab of white. Tiny, tiny dab. And let's give her some slightly brighter teeth now. No, nowhere close. This is where you need a steady hand. The top of that one there. There's bright cane on the other side. Doing it again. No, that's it, that's good. Whew, caught myself just in time. Right, and then swap over to my other image now. Mostly because it's got the eye colour, which is the thing I want to bring out. And for the sake of finishing the face, I think it's going to be important. It's the same one again. Okay, very blue eyes. But I want to use one blue and be quite consistent with it. And I've got this cobalt blue, which I've been rather enjoying. When I'm teaching, I talk a lot about keeping the same consistent, limited palette because it's the best way to start. But then once you've got the hang of it, introducing new colours to your palette is really fun. Okay, it's just the shadow bits at the top, and her eyes are in shadow. Once I've got some paint to work into, I should be able to do some things. Right. Small brush. Little brush. Okay, so that's some blue in the bottom of her eyes. Make it slightly bluer than that even. Seeing some other things I can bring in. One of them is a much clearer lower lid. Takes that edge down quite a lot. Same here. That's going to be lighter though. I'll be a bit cheeky and use some of that lighter colour. Same thing here, so that inner lid there. It's going to catch a bit of extra light. It's quite interesting eyelid shape. Shape of her eye sockets and the shape of the eyelid as a result. Yeah, okay, that's pretty good. Same with eyebrows. Slightly darker at the centre here. And brown. Just going to put some red in that. Okay. Just soften that down a bit as well. No, that's okay. It's very interesting how you can see these shapes as well turning up. So I want to make more of that shape on the other side of the nose. But I'm changing the language of the light, so it's not really visible on the other one. There is this particular shape here, which I want to bring out, so I'm going to use this blue, just so it's sort of illustrating that shape of the eye without that shape of the cheek. Ah, same there, let's do that too. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to ruin this if I do too much, aren't I? Oh yes, I always forget about that. So let's have a couple of pupils. Nice dark pupils of the eyes. Let's put them there. And let's add a little bit of glitter to the eyes as well. So I don't know how much there is in the original image. Pretty much none. So we're going to have to borrow it from here. All the light's coming from this side. So let's take a little bit of this yellowy light. Mix it in with that blue ever so slightly. Let's just put a dash on there and a dash on there, and then we can imagine a bluish light coming from the other side, which I've started to suggest with these, and just do a little spot just there and there. Okay, I'm going to soften that down ever so slightly. So it's really subtle, and now it looks like she's looking off to the right, so that was really successful. Well done, James, you idiot. No, it's close enough. That will do. yeah, I don't really believe in that'll do. I'm not happy with that'll do. That'll do won't do. Right, get some more of this blue. I'm going to push in that edge of that eye there, because she's got these really interesting eyelid shapes, which just sort of joins onto the inside of the eye, which yeah, and also the shadow here. Need to make more of that particular shape. I'm going to put it at the top. That's the crease of the nose, just there. And that thin highlight of the nose can come across. Washing the brush again means I'm nearly done. So let's do that here. Magic. That's fine. That's fine. I'll wreck it if I do too much more. That is the face done. So I'm have to switch off our lovely blue eyes and return to the rather harsh hospital lighting. There we go. Okay, so the last things I'm going to do is mix up some colours for scrubs. Again, that cobalt blue should come in handy. Slightly bigger brush. How much am I going to need to use the knife for this? Probably a fair bit. And also the arms. So I'm going to keep these simple. Also going to want some shadow arm colours. Some deeper shadow there. Oh, that'll do it. Brilliant. That's the main shadow colour there, that'll do perfectly nicely. Let's put some in there as well. Soften down the neck, just to be kind. Yeah, then we just won't see that. Oh, that's that yellowy colour. Let's bring some of that in at that edge there. Some of this edge there. Give a nice tan. Some of that pinky colour here. Same there. And there. Oh, nearly forgot. The blue shadow under here. Pop a bit of oil in this, just get it to flow. I'll put my light on top. Just going to go here, follow this sort of shape. That would be the edge of an arm. Feel like you're being held steady yet. Let's put some impasto highlights on there. In here. Soften that out of the picture. Great. I'm going to edit that background a bit. Don't think I need all the bottles and bits and pieces. What am I going to need? Need lots and lots of blue. Different side of the palette. Oh, good. Let's start with ultramarine. Let's put a bit of white in it so we can see what the colour is. And a bit more. And then let's just tip it towards the green. We should have a local colour that's pretty much the same hue as that top. Yeah, good. Put my darks in. And keep this really simple. I'm not going to overdo it. I think the stethoscope is going to be important. I think that's everyone knows you're an actual doctor. Right, okay, so that blue's going to go in here. This is definitely more purpley blue at the moment. Yeah, same with that shadow there. Oh, that's quite interesting. We'll leave it. So there we are. More of that. What about here? Yeah. Okay. Okay, do a lighter version. Actually, I'm going to do a purplier version over here, just to be cheeky. Because otherwise the blue will end up being a bit too flat. So I'll put some of these purpley blues in where I think I can get away with them. In there. Where else? Definitely some in there. There we are. definitely that. In the highlights, those purples are going to come back. So I'll keep that. This side, this lighter side. What's this doing? Okay, that's got to get greener and lighter. There's your green. There's your white. This is all going to mix on the surface to a certain extent, so you might have to dial that back. This is all in shadow. Where it gets to the light, it's going to change again. Get rid of that. Oh, where's this going? Bye, Chris. Might change direction a little bit. This blue's hard to find, isn't it? I'm definitely going to have to hit the cobalt when it comes to the deeper colours. But for the moment, this will do for most of the shadows. A little bit here. That's another shadow colour there. Yeah. Okay, seeing this appear now, it's quite interesting. I'm going to make it definitely a much purpler version, just to be really cheeky. It'll also forgive a lot of the red in their face. So that's a shadow. Yeah, there's a heavier shadow in there. We'll do the lighter lights afterwards. Anywhere else I could sneak this in? Yes, in there. And in here. Okay. Right, so there's a more, I'm really cutting corners here. There's a more crisp green to go on top, but in the meantime, am I being lazy here? It's hard to know. Okay, quick pause. I haven't even drunk my tea. And my power's running out. Yeah, I'm going to have to consider how to do this properly. I'm going to put that knife down. Put the knife down, Cletus. Tepid, so not that bad. some more white out, shall we? Ooh. Okay, I'm going to start this mix with the white. I'll put it here. I'm just going to put cobalt blue in it to see what it does. That's a bit more like it, isn't it? It still needs to be greener. What's this? This is Taylor blue greenish. Taylor blue is already greenish. Maybe that's just to remind me. Yeah, we need something halfway in between these two. So I'll do exactly that. Take a bit of each, mix it into a little pile in the middle. There. So, well, I lost everyone yet. Oh no, there's still a few of us here. That's nice. Get on the brush. Okay. I'm going to go for this middle one. I think a lot of that. Go in here. There we go, yeah, that works a lot better. Doesn't need loads of detail on here anyway, that's not important. Keep a bit of that space for where the I've forgotten the word for it, but you know, the listening things, you know what I mean, stethoscope, so that the language of the painting stays pretty much the same, because there's a lot of painting around things. Painting around things, so that those separate tiles of paint that made up the face. This is still working. Yeah, I'll be clearing a few spaces in this paint to make the highlight marks in a little bit. And that defines the edge of a face fairly well. What about here? Highlight, highlight. Into the scrubs, there you are. A few highlights in there. Yeah, I don't want it to be too much like little dancing marks, because that's not the language of the rest of the painting. I want it to be mostly sort of slabs of colour. A bit of a highlight coming back over the shoulder there. We get the idea. Super bright highlight, borrow a bit of that yellow. That's a cheeky yellow. Yeah, that's what we're going to need for the sleeve as well. Okay, so I've got this. Let's take some paint off there. That can all be white. This can all be white. Same with there. And with there. And with there. What about here? Most of that hard to control, so I've gone into the face a little bit, which we didn't want, but there you go. It's happened now. What are you going to do about it? Okay, that is going to work for up here as well. Oh, got hair in that. Yeah, I think I'm going to be working from the highlights to the lowlights in this bit. Some bright highlights to come later on, but first of all, promised more green, didn't I? Yeah, a bit of extra colour. Doesn't hurt. It is actually a little bit more neutral than that. So let's make a slightly more neutral version. Let's put some of those edges. And in there. there. Oh. Right around here. Yeah, there's a hint of ears here which I've rather missed, but I don't think they're that important. So I'm not going to fuss about that. Got this rather neutrally colour up here. No, there's sort of pattern to it. Again, I'm not going to get carried away with that. That's definitely occasion to wash your brush. And the last few highlights on, and then the question of a background colour. Should there be a background colour? Oh, we've got a question. Oh, yes. This is a sort of a rubber ended tool. I also use a palette knife sometimes. So sometimes I'll use a palette knife and a piece of tissue just to clear away the paint from an area. If I want to make a specific area, I'll need something that makes a specific shape. And this, sometimes they call them colour shapers. Sometimes, I don't know, I mean, sometimes I think the people selling them don't know what they're selling. They go, we've got these things with rubber-ended things on that people keep buying. What they're buying them for, we don't know. They're just these random artists. People could be using them for all sorts of things, but they're really, really great at lifting all of the paint off a surface and leaving a clear space behind that you can just put paint into. So when you've got too many layers of paint on the surface at once and it's all mixing together, that kind of rescues it a bit. So for example, here, I have a little bit of paint on the surface, and I'm just got a little bit of blue on the palette next to that yellow I mixed earlier. And this, just lean around the camera to get it. That is my highlight shape. And the more I work it, the more it's going to mix in with the colours that are on the surface. So now the question is, how much do I let that happen? Yeah, I like that. Thanks for reminding me of Tom Croft. I always feel terrible about forgetting people's names, even though actually I quite often remember a great deal about who they are and what they do. It's still a bit embarrassing. It feels a bit like an insult, and it's absolutely not meant that way. Now I'm going to go for a slightly creamy background because it's going to set off the blue, and I want to keep that handy actually. I've kind of run out of room here, so I'm going to use another palette. I have little spare ones sitting around waiting to be useful. Oh, there you are. I'm so glad you're available. So I was using yellow ochre earlier, so I'll put a bit of yellow ochre in it. I'll use a bit of that black just to make this much more neutral. That's a bit of a dirty yellow there, dirty green colour. I'm going to add some alizarin to that, warm it up. clean colour to go in the background. Does it need to, no, not pinker. It's too close to the flesh tone though. I don't know what to do about that. Well, the thing to do is to experiment. I'll take a little bit of it, pop it there. Let's try a little bit of the cobalt blue in there. See what that does to it. Lighten it up again, bring the tone back up. How does that work? That's quite hospitally, isn't it? Is it unflattering though? Because I want it to look like white, but a different white. So I have to kind of trick your eye into seeing the skin as luminous. That is a good colour. That I'm happy with. So I'm going to mix up a whole load more of this. Use all that cobalt blue. I'll leave a slightly darker one for where I need it. I had rather an early break with this painting, and I think I needed that to really psych myself up to how I was going to come back to it. Version, just in case I need it. There you are, so mixing all those up. That's lovely. I might use a stiffer brush, or I might put a little bit of oil in it just to get it to flow a bit more. That's almost all gone. I don't know what I've done with that. That there for a minute. Right. There it is. I don't have to go very far on this occasion. So I'll get some of these shapes in. Oh, apparently that can't be opened. I don't know how childproof that needs to be. There's not a giant leap from child-proof to everyone-proof, is it? Okay. A couple of little drips of oil. Oh, nearly there. If you can see those little pools. So I'll mix this up. That's my light one there. And that's definitely a lot more gooey and greasy now. So it'll give me flatter marks and it will go further as well. Run that down in there. I'll do my mid-tone one. Darker one. And between them, if I work from the light to the dark, I should be able to get this this blocked in fairly effectively. sense of light around there. I quite like the bits of white around the edge, so I'm just going to put in as much as I need to do to kind of create a sort of halo, if you like. Marks like that I really define that you have the edges where those edges are, so here get rid of that shape there. Change the shape of that shoulder. There. You know, I might even make this a graduation as we go down, so if I finish off this light here, I'll work into a brighter light near the top. Oh. If I go down to my next tone down, get a little bit darker here, and it should bring out the lights on the arms. Let's work that in a bit. Same with that shape underneath. I don't think I'm going to need the dark version. There she is. Holding us all steady. But it doesn't feel like that. Okay, a few lumps in the paint, can get those out, just for the sake of keeping it looking clean. Sharpen that up a bit. Nice bit of white. Oh, sorry, my arm's in the way. There we go. Last thing I'm going to do is that stethoscope, which is I'm going to do in one big mass of black. It's the very first thing I mixed when I started this. I haven't really used it at all. Okay, so that's a bit of shadow. Okay, it looks clumsy at the moment, but I promise you, he says. Up there, there's the piezo element on the end. And the thing that's going to make this work isn't fine detail, it's highlights, and those highlights need to be the yellowy highlights I was talking about earlier. So borrow a little bit of yellow, drop that in, and that's that rather harsh lighting. So where's the brightest bits? There's a bright bit. Oh, that's ugly. Ugly, ugly mark. Okay. There's a highlight there. I've moved it up slightly, but for the purposes of what I'm trying to do. Where were we? Oh yeah. There's a highlight there. Tiny one here. See if I can wreck it at the last minute. I'm an idiot. Okay, put this down. I'm not using it. Rag, where's my rag gone? There it is. Okay, that needs to be a lot smoother. Good. And this needs to be a lot cleaner. Can't quite get enough paint on it. What about here? Okay, I'm over fiddling now. Simple marks. Simple. Oh, you know what? That's fine. Definitely don't need to do any more than that. I've rather changed the shape of the body, but I wanted it to feel like it was sort of a bit more focused on the face. What have I got? I haven't got ears yet. I think she'd probably quite like to have ears. No particular detail. Define the shape of the cheekbones a little bit. No, the eyebrows are fine. And there's one last thing that's been bugging me, which will give me that shape of that jaw under there. So I can get it right. Yes. Oh, what a pig's ear with this stethoscope though. Okay, a few slightly more forgiving marks just around it. Just to fix that shape. It's too much like a line, you see, that's what's bothering me. Simple shapes. Don't overwork it. No, that's okay. The shadows in there, maybe. Ah, I'm fiddling, aren't I? Ah! Is anyone saying stop fiddling? Oh, hi, Kirk. Catherine Cobbs here. Hello, all the way from North Carolina. Ah, yes, Mark. It's like an eraser, except it's not rubbing something out, it's scooping the paint up. So just like you'd scrape something up with a palette knife. You're just doing it with the wet paint. So look for a thing called a colour shaper if you're interested. They're the best ones, and I've got one. And oh, there it is. So I don't know where it is. So this thing, everything there they are. I think you can still see the words colour shaper written on it somewhere. Oh, there's no way you're picking that out. I can barely read it. Here. Anyway, it's sort of a shaped, rubbery thing. And yeah, really good for making shapes in the paint, which exposes the not completely raw canvas, but you know, the cleared area of canvas, which you can then reapply paint into. So if you got it horribly wrong the first time, it's not all over. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, that's one last thing I haven't done. So I'm going to fiddle. Bit of cobalt blue. Just pop it there. So that's number 2 done. It's an interpretation. It's not completely literal. It's not meant to be a copy of a photo either. It's meant to be a sort of well, I suppose trying to find something out about that person from the photo and then interpret that in some way. So obviously some of it's literal. Let's have a look, see if this is better. I'll put this filter over the top. Apologies. Does that look better? Yeah, so the colours on mine, well, you can see I've got my iPad next to it. You can see the colours look kind of the same. Now you're looking exactly the same photo, which to my eyes, the photo on the screen looks the same as the photo I'm looking at on the iPad, but the camera has its own idea. But I will post a photo of this as soon as everybody wants to give them as surprises. But I hope I've sort of caught something of the kindness in her face. Oh, hi Sarah. Yeah, I'm using oil paint, and this is a canvas panel. Which I sometimes do actually glue canvas to panels. I use an upholstery glue when I do that. Spray glue, which is the same stuff they use for attaching foam to boards and that kind of thing. You can also use photo mount or PVA. It helps if, oh crikey, this is a big long answer to that's a big question. Yes, I do sometimes stretch my own canvases. It's a rigmarole, and it's money wise it's just not worth it. If you're stretching your own canvases, it's because no one quite makes the thing you want, so you have to do it yourself. Or it's a vast canvas, or it's a very peculiar shape. But even then, you can work on a normal canvas and glue it to a board afterwards. So, you know, much like with a piece of watercolor, paper, you wouldn't necessarily want it to be exactly the right shape to go in the frame at the end. You'd paint the picture and then you'd crop it, and you'd get a mount, and then so similar kind of thing. You can take the same approach. I hope that answers your question. But yeah, canvas panels are great because they're easy to post. So if there's any of my live streams, there's a good chance it was done on a panel. So if you see them up for sale and you think, oh, what a rigmarole, actually, or think, well, I like that half, but I chopped that bit off. It's easy with the canvas panel. You only need a Stanley knife, so buy yourself a painting and redo it. Doing the hard sell here, aren't I? Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I went on a bit actually after I thought I was going pretty quickly at the beginning, and then I slowed down, but I think it was appropriate to slow down and take my time and try and do a nice job of this, because it's I want it to be a valuable, precious thing in some way. No, I don't like it. No, it's not all bad. No, I'm not going to give myself too much of a hard time. Yeah, I think she's in there after a fashion. It's not my best work ever, but I'm not going to be too harsh with myself. So yeah, thanks very much for joining me this evening. That was a fun couple of hours painting, and I hope you join me next week when I'll be painting who knows what. Anything could happen. Yeah, don't forget the drawing class starts on Wednesday. There's still a few spaces left on that, so if you're interested in that, you want to sign up, there'll be information going on the website tomorrow, and sort of a last minute advertising thing going around. Yeah, it's a tricky one, that one. So it's all a bit last minute, that stuff, but yeah, it should be fun, and it will cycle around, so if you miss the beginning you can join back in at the end. That didn't make any sense at all, did it? Okay. I'm doing an online drawing course, which is going over 12 weeks, but you can do it, like you could do for 4 weeks and see how you find it. So you just pay by the month. It's £25 a month. There's a Zoom class once a week with it, and I'll be making videos and worksheets. So everything you need to know to learn to draw. I don't know if Sue's still here, but she's been through it, and she's a survivor. She's come out the other side and is now getting rather good at acrylics. So yeah, it's a good launch pad. So do spread the word, and if you know of anybody who's interested in that kind of thing, be happy to chat to them and get them on the course. The other courses are all pretty much full, so I've spent the last month building a whole subscription membership website, because everything else was rubbish, so or took all of your money. So so that's nice to have that up and running, and I want to be expanding that out to encompass ArtsLink, who the charity I teach for. I have lots of different tutors who do amazing things, and it'd be great to get them online and teaching everyone. So fingers crossed that will happen soon. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves, have a good week, and I'll see you all next week.